quickly, we're going to have a short video.
On board. Now to the drama unfolding off the coast of Mexico, where searchers are still who were on board a fishing charter when it capsized on Sunday before dawn. Meanwhile, some of the survivors are telling their own stories about living through the ordeal. NBC's Miguel Almaguer is in San Felipe, Mexico.
The Mexican Navy circles above the Sea of Cortez. The frantic search entered its third day. Joined today by the U.S. Coast Guard, searching for 7 Americans. 35 men escaped from the fishing boat Eric as it sank.
The ship actually lowered itself into the water, kind of like the Titanic.
Charles Gibson swam for 16 hours to shore. Others were plucked to safety as they bobbed in the ocean for nearly a day. One man died.
The waves were huge. They were just monstrous. So the wind was blowing 50 to 60 miles an hour. It was pretty scary.
70-year-old Jim Miller was tossed from the Eric's second deck at 2:30 a.m. Sunday. Miller says a pair of 40-foot waves slammed into the ship. The second impact so powerful, it capsized the boat in seconds.
You see it on the movie and everything, you just can't believe that it's happening to you.
The Eric left San Felipe Harbor for a holiday fishing trip Saturday and was 60 miles south when it sank, just 2 miles offshore. Some survivors reached one of the many uninhabited islands in the Sea of Cortez. Tonight there's hope that with warm weather and water, the missing could still be alive.
I know they're out there searching right now, and we hope they continue to search.
The crew aboard the Eric tell NBC News when the ship shoved off on Saturday, the captain was warned not to leave the harbor. The weather, they say, was just too dangerous.
I'm not leaving.
Gary Wong was separated from his brother Brian as the ship sank. Today, the husband and father of 2 is still missing.
I'm not leaving until we find my brother, Brian.
From one boat, stories of survival, death, and a desperate search for the missing. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News, San Felipe, Mexico.
That we have here this morning to do that. And so as I thought about it, I thought, you know, Charles would be a great person to come and speak. And Charles, I'll read you a little bit about Charles' training or biography. Charles is the police chief for the Contra Costa College District. He's a professor and a professional speaker. He has a master's degree in public administration, graduated from the FBI National Academy, and he's a member of the National Speakers Association. He has 36 years of law enforcement experience with both the Oakland Police Department and the College District. He is a survivor. He survived 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, 24 years on the streets of Oakland, and 32 years of marriage to the same woman. He wrote, he's an award-winning speaker who had a horrific life-and-death experience in the shark-infested waters of the Sea of Cortez. His mission is to share the lessons learned while stranded in the ocean for nearly 16 hours. The title of his presentation is Kill Complacency Before Complacency Kills You. And Charles has been a very good friend of mine on the Police Chiefs Association. You're in for a real treat. He has the voice of James Earl Jones. You sound like you're listening to God when he speaks. We've actually gone fishing for crab together, and we spend a lot of good time together. A very good friend of mine. You're in for a great treat.
That I plan to share with you. It was July 3rd, 2011. 27 fishermen from right here in the Bay Area went to San Felipe, Mexico for an adventure none of us will ever forget. Imagine 5 days in a tropical paradise, blue, cloudless sky, crystal clear water filled with whales and dolphins. Our ship, the Eric, a 115-foot liveaboard with a complement of 44 people. Now, the type of fishing vacation is called a mothership. The Eric has 8 smaller boats called pangas on the back, about 18 to 20 feet long. It drives for about a day, anchors in the Sea of Cortez, and we fish from sunup to sundown. The day we left was calm and beautiful. We were excited as school kids on Christmas Eve. We went to bed and dreamed about the fish We were going to catch the next morning. But our dreams turned to nightmares. When at 2 a.m., a sudden and powerful storm flooded the ship and knocked out power. Jim Miller, a 71-year-old man, said, somebody, give me a knife. Jim saw that the lifeboats were tied down. They should never be tied down. They should float if the boat sinks. And with a pocket knife, he began sawing at the ropes, even while the Eric was slowly swallowed by the Sea of Cortez. Underwater, he continued sawing until finally they broke free. He floated to the surface with the lifeboats, saving the lives of the people who climbed inside. Meanwhile, in my below-decks cabin, if you were a fly on the wall, this is what you would have seen. The diagnosis was sleep apnea, which means I snore so loud, my neighbors wear earplugs. Sometimes I wake myself up. Who that? Who that? I was listening to Satchmo. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, a bright blessed day, dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful... Charles, wake up! The ship is sinking! The slip is slinking. No, the ship is sinking, yelled Fish Rich, a guy I met 2 days before the trip. After he made sure I was awake, he grabbed his life vest and ran out of the cabin. I struggled to get out of bed. You see, the ship was lisping in such a way that the floor became the wall. I got out of bed, dressed all in my birthday suit. That's just how I roll. And I got out of there. A guy named Dave Levine stood at the top and helped because it was like climbing uphill. He grabbed my arm and pulled, while Ross pushed me from behind. He said it was not a pretty sight. I will never forget the terror in the eyes of my shipmates as they stood braced against the railing, staring at the angry sea, wondering if they were going to live or die. A crew member emerged from the hatch wearing a life vest with another in his hand. He gave it to the guy standing next to me, then turned and said, "We have no more life vests. Sorry, senor." Have your ears ever heard something that your brain just refused to process? What do you mean you got no more life vests? Sorry, senor. By this time, I'm looking around the ship trying to figure out who I'm going to jack for a life vest. Y'all know I'm from Oakland. I wasn't going out like that. But it's not my nature to take anything from any. All these guys are much older than me, kind of like Paul. But I did see a guy with a life ring, and I thought I could work my way down and we could hold on to the ring together. And just then this huge wave came over the ship and I'm in the water. It's pitch black. My eyes are burning from diesel fuel and gasoline. The wind is blowing. People are yelling, "Over here, over here." 7 minutes ago, I was in my bed listening to Louis Armstrong. Now I'm in the water, and the Eric has sunk. A crew member floated near named Alejandro. He had a life vest. I grabbed the back of his vest and says, "Alejandro, we got to stick together, man, whether you like it or not." Things started to calm down a bit, and an ice chest floated up. I grabbed the handle of the ice chest. Alejandro grabbed the other handle. 2 more ice chests with 5 other people holding on to them floated up. And we decided to strap them together so we wouldn't float apart. And for the next 4.5 hours, we floated in the ocean with no food, no water, and very little hope. The guy behind me, Gary Hansen, we had fished together the previous year. This is my third time on this particular boat. I knew the captain, the crew. Gary said, look, there's a light on the horizon. When he said that, I knew exactly what he was doing. He was getting us to work together as a team to focus our energy on something other than our plight. Our plight was bad. We didn't know if we were on the menu for morning breakfast as tantalizing tourists for the sharks. But we kept toward that light. Guys were upset, they were sick, they were cursing, but they said, let's focus on the light, let's stay together. And finally there was daybreak. We could see. There was an island about 4 miles on the horizon and an abandoned island about 4 miles in the opposite direction. We floated for about a half hour waiting to be rescued. It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining about 100 degrees and the water temperature was nice, about 86 degrees. After we waited a half hour, somebody said, let's swim for it. I said, man, I'm not swimming anywhere without a life vest. Gary Wong, who was on the other side of the chest, he had a flotation mat about 6 feet long and 2 foot wide, and he had a life vest. He started gyrating over there doing something. He took the vest off, gave me this big smile, said, Charles, don't say I never gave you anything. He gave me the vest. Saved my life. I asked Gary Hansen, his wife calls him Blue Eyes, to come over and tie the vest on me because I fished with him a year before. He was in the Coast Guard and all he did was talk about tying knots. So I said, Gary, can you come tie this vest on me? This is not the actual vest. It was stolen, and I appreciate the work you guys did to apprehend the suspects and try to get it back. Gary slowly swam over and meticulously tied the upper strap. This is why I asked him to tie it, because I'm not that good at tying knots. Then he tied the lower strap. Again, this is not it. He looked at me with those deep blue eyes, put his hand on my shoulder and said, you're going to be all right, big man. Just keep kicking. And he took off swimming. Now, you guys watch the Olympics. You know a good swimmer when you see one. That's what he looked like. All the guys, they had the good stroke. They took off, not me. I'm a YMCA, 10 laps and I'm out. Look something like this. Within 3 minutes, we were separated by gigantic swells and powerful currents. And for the next 10 hours, I was in the ocean alone. People ask, what'd you think about? The story of my life flashed on the movie screen of my mind. Charles hovered on the outside, watching Charles on the inside fight to survive. As I started swimming toward the island that looked like it was inhabited, I thought about that TV show Flipper. You guys, some of you guys remember, Flipper's about this dolphin who would go out and he'd find people in the water and he'd grab his fin, they'd rescue him like, Flipper, Flipper, take me in, Flipper. Flipper didn't show up. Thought about my best friend Michael Small, who was supposed to accompany me on the trip. He had a medical problem, and that's how Fish Rich ended up showing up. I was glad he didn't make it. He didn't come to the trip because he's not a good swimmer, and he probably would not have made it. After 2.5 hours swimming toward this island, I didn't get any closer. Decided to turn back and swim the other way toward a deserted island. And I swam, and I swam. Didn't get any closer. It's hard to judge your distance. So I said, let me turn around and go back toward the original island. Now it's been 5 hours, and I'm going back toward the original island. And I'm stroking and swimming and swimming. I didn't get any closer. I stopped, thought about my father who had stage 4 cancer. When I went to see him, he said, you know, Charles, I've lived a good life, and it's my time to go, so be it. So I looked up and I said, you know, Lord, I've lived a good life, And if it's my time to go, so be it. But if it's not my time, I'm going to fight like hell to keep kicking toward that island. And I said, Charles, you've got to make a decision. You've got to quit vacillating, swimming this way and that way. Set a goal, stick with it. So I said, I'm going to swim toward this deserted island from hella high water. My son tried out for the Navy SEALs, and he used to always do this side stroke. He's in the pool all day long doing the side stroke. When he got tired, he switched to the other side and do the side stroke. And I realized that doing the breaststroke was working against me. So I switched to the side stroke. Started using basketball analogies to talk to myself, and lo and behold, I was close to this big rock. Swam to the big rock, and I said I could climb on top of it like a seal. I'm talking big. And when my foot touched it, it felt so good to finally touch something after nearly 16 hours in the ocean. And when I did, this huge wave came from behind me and smashed me into the rock, and I went underneath. Thought I was going to die. I kicked off from the rock, and for some reason I could not stop laughing. I'm like, Charles, you're not a seal. How silly of you to try to get on this big rock. And I'm back floating, and I look, and from here to the back wall is a beachy area of this deserted island. I said, Lord, if I could just get a hand to help me get to that island. And sure as I'm standing here, this big wave came and pushed me toward the island. Now, I know a wave will push you in and pull you out. So when it pushed, I crawled toward that island. The second wave pushed me closer. And the third wave, I could feel the earth under my feet. And I crawled to that island. And once I realized I was far enough from the water, I found a stick. And I took the vest off. And placed it on this stick. So if a ship, a plane, a helicopter was looking for us, it would know that someone was on this deserted island. And I collapsed from exhaustion. Found a little rock, I slept, got under it, and slept in a fetal position for hours. Then I heard a voice. Hi, neighbor. God, is that you? He said, no, it's me, Fish Rich. It was a guy who I met 2 days before the trip. The guy who woke me up from the belly of death, landed on the same island, and was standing there. I said, man, I get up and give you a hug, but my legs are too weak. He said, that's all right, man. We're going to survive. He said, we can eat clams, we can eat crabs, and we can eat flies. I'm thinking, how many flies does it take to make a sandwich? He was quoted later in Telemundo as saying he'd never been so happy in his life to see a 6'6", 300-pound naked black man laying on the beach. So he went searching for food and water because when the ship sinks, stuff floats. And he saw two guys out for an evening fishing in a panga. He said, Charles, a panga. I grabbed the vest and waved it so they could know that someone was on the island. These two guys were out for an evening fishing trip. They saw this stuff floating in the water. They grabbed ice chests and pulled the handle, and there was another guy holding on to the end of it. He said, yeah, man, the Eric sank last night. There's over 44 people out here in the ocean. So they rescued him, rescued another person, and then came to the island, dropped off the ice chest, which had some food and water. And one of the guys on the boat had a pair of underwear and a pair of shorts, and he was kind enough to take the shorts off to give them to me, so when we ever got to town, I had a little something, except they were a size medium. Clearly, I'm a 3X. I'm walking through San Felipe with these Daisy Dukes like this, but it was better than nothing. We lost 8 people in that adventure. We'll never forget them. We're going back July 13th of this year. We're going to drop a reef where the ship went down in memory of the 8 people we lost, and then we're gonna continue fishing because that's what we enjoy, and we're not gonna let it stop us. But one of the main reasons this happened is complacency. This is my third time on the trip. I'm relaxing. I'm listening to Louis Armstrong. I'm not thinking about the weather report. The captain's not thinking about the weather report. I didn't check it. The crew, there was no process for preparation. You guys been on a cruise, right? First night, what did he do? Say, okay, put your vest on. This is where you go in case the alarm. They prepare you for the eventuality that something might occur. That's not how we roll there. We just get on the ship and it's party time, have a good time. So we were complacent. What is complacency? Can anyone tell me? Come on, guys. You guys been to law school or something? Okay, then let me turn to the video and show you what it is. It's that feeling of contentment. Mark, what'd you do with the clicker thing?
I'm complacent.
And the lights, great. That feeling of contentment, self-satisfaction, you know, I've done so many cases. I've been on in this DA's office for so many years. I know what's going on. I've been on this police department for so long. I know how it rolls. I've been in this job. I'm comfortable. I proved to myself I can do it. So relax and do your time. I've been in this marriage for so long. I got her. She's got me. I've been on this boat so many times, I can become complacent. That's what it looks like. Well, the first picture was this cat with his legs up. Here's this imminent danger pending that he was not aware of. So don't let your guard down. Be prepared for complacency in your life. Think of a time when you or someone you know was complacent. What did it look like? What one thing did you do to deal with it? How did you overcome complacency? This is your task. Name the one thing you did to overcome complacency. And now, pair with the person next to you and share your story. I'll give you 5 minutes for one story and then 5 for the other side. Pair and share. What situation were you complacent in? It could be home, work, vacation, some part. If there's 2, pair, and if there's 3, the 3 of you can pair. Starting now. Think about it. Complacency. When was I complacent? Have you seen it at work? Give them 5 minutes and then we'll switch. Okay?
Bomb up in my house.
A what?
A bomb. Yeah.
At your house?
Not in my house, but where my parents are going by the lake. Yeah.
Okay, well, put that stuff there and go deal with it.
Anywhere. I haven't seen it come through. It's 11:15, so I'll watch the time.
So give me 5 minutes. So you have 5 minutes to tell your story and then to switch. The other person will tell their story. Pair and share. Okay? Think about it. Okay. I'm just listening.
Pair and share, brother. Pair and share.
All right.
You know Nancy?
Yes. How are you? Good to see you. Who you sharing with?
I'm being complacent.
Oh, man, come on. You doing the crossword, Paul? See?
Crossword puzzle.
All right. I'll call on you. All right.
Very impressive speaking style.
Oh, thank you.
Such a dynamic speaker.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I cannot believe what you went through, though.
It's funny because a lot of speakers look for a hook. You know, it's like I had cancer, but I beat it. I wasn't looking for a hook. But sometimes life hands you a challenge that you have to deal with. And fortunately, I was able to share it. Some people sold all their fishing gear and say, I'll never go back to fishing. And some would like to tell the story, but didn't have the skills to tell it. So it's a gift, and I think that's part of my purpose, to be able to share this story in hopes of helping someone battle complacency, not go through what happened to me. Yeah. All right, you guys continue. We're going to switch in a few minutes. Okay. All right. Okay, switch. The other person tell their side. The other pair. The other person tell your story of complacency. Switch.
Chief, are you going to continue with your PowerPoint slide for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just got to run down the stairs real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, it'll probably close like this, so
okay.
yeah, we just keep it like that.
All right.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good
Yes,
seeing,
sir.
good working with you again.
Yes, sir.
All right. Who you sharing with, man?
It's the visual, Gibson. It's the visual that just turned me off.
The visual. See, you had to go there. Yes.
You did it before 5 minutes, but it's got it.
Okay. Yeah, I just did by feel.
It's not turning on.
The computer?
Yeah.
Do you have a plug?
No, there's no plug.
Okay, then we won't worry about it.
Okay, I'll look again.
All right, this is a good idea, but little things. Ask if you find a plug. Ask Gard. Maybe he has an extension cord. Just listening in.
Oh, I made the mistake. I opened with a big one, so.
Really?
I had a, not nearly what yours was, but I had a camping experience where we went out for a snow camping experience, and we were complacent in that we were just going to go snowshoeing and then camp for the day.
Right.
We'd never been to this area before, we hadn't been snowshoeing before, and it was supposed to be 3 hours. It took maybe 5 hours. We started late, we got lost, the sun went down. We literally had to create a lean-to in 30-degree weather and sleep there in the middle of the night. We didn't even have watches to know what time it was in the middle of the night.
Wow.
So we're racked with shaking, we're freezing.
Wow.
Can't tell if it's been 5 minutes or 5 hours.
Wow.
So that was our moment of complacency.
Wow.
And all it would have taken was a little bit of warm clothing, a little bit more food, some matches, any of that, and it would have been totally avoidable. But instead, I got to deal with minor frostbite and a slight fear of the dark for the next couple of months.
So the one thing you did to correct that was?
Everything that I do now, whenever I go anywhere, I have food, I have water, and I always have emergency supplies in my car, in my house, everything.
All right, like it. You learned from his mistake.
Stay close. I have supplies for everybody.
But sometimes not having that watch, because I didn't have one when I was in the Sea of Cortez, it actually worked for me. Because if I could have been, oh my God, it's been 5 hours. Oh, it's been 7 hours. Oh, the sun is about to go down. Together. All right, what one thing did you do, or did your partner, the person you paired and shared with, do to overcome complacency? What one thing did you do? I got a kudo for you. Hey!
Well, in my wife's case, because where it came in was that she had been watching some dietary restrictions having to do with a digestive problem. She spent 5 days in hospital with a severe infection. Because she cannot touch nuts or anything with seeds in it, so that kudo is not going to her.
Okay, good.
You might as well keep it because I'm diabetic. I can't eat it either.
Okay, but one good thing did you do?
She is virtually paranoid now. She won't eat tomatoes because of the seeds.
Caution.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Thank you. What other one thing did you do in your group to deal with complacency? This gentleman.
After a really bad, a good friend of mine and I had to spend the night basically in a lean-to that we created in the middle of the snow. I think both of us carry food, water, supplies just about wherever we go. I always wear a watch to know exactly what time it is. And I have emergency supplies in my office, in the car, wherever I go.
Planning, training. All right. Dan, what's one thing did you do? Took a risk, as opposed to, this is how you dealt with complacency. That's right. Okay. So, taking risk. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, everything was, I had a lifestyle that was one way, and then I decided I wanted to expand on it, and I did. I took a risk, and it benefited me.
And helped you deal with complacency, helped you battle complacency.
It sure did.
All right. Mark, what was yours?
Well, I climbed to the top of a mountain one time and I didn't really prepare on how I was going to get down. So now I do a little more research before I begin to climb.
Okay, research. Planning, research and planning. Any others? Yes.
Talk about it, make a plan, discuss what's going on, like a safety meeting, sharing information.
Okay, planning. Pass that down, don't eat it. Any others? Yes. Setting goals can help you deal with complacency because it gives you something to look forward to, something to move toward. Okay. All right. Any others? Yes.
My partner talked about treating the situation like it's new.
Ah.
Even if you've done 7 DUI trials, don't act like you have 7 DUI trials under your belt to the extent that you do new things on this 8th trial.
All right. Treating it like it's new.
Her partner.
Her partner. Okay. A double. Let me share a couple of things I came up with for battling complacency. One is being present in the moment. Eckhart Tolle wrote a book called The Power of Now. And he said nothing really happens in the past, nothing happens in the future. It all happens right now. And if we are present right now, then we're more apt to deal with whatever it is we have to do. How many cases have you heard where the person said, the suspect came from nowhere? Suspect came from somewhere. They were just preoccupied and didn't recognize because they were doing the thumb dance or somewhere else. How do you remain present? How do you bring your presence back to the moment? One is focus on your breathing. This is what I use. Just when I see myself drifting, take a breath and try to deal with it. Or feel the tingle in your toes. Your toes tingling. Try it right now. Feel that? You're now present in this moment. Not thinking about what you're going to have for lunch. What are you going to do this afternoon? Because you're present in the moment. The second one is training. We've all had training to do our jobs. In police work, you have a lot of training in the police academy and field training, and they teach you processes for doing things. Like they taught me how to go approach a building when you suspect there may be someone behind it. But after 11, 12, 20 times at the same alarm, I said, I got this, code 4. And walked to the back of this building where the silent alarm had went off, and standing to my left was two guys trying to be invisible. But if they had a gun, they would have killed me because I was complacent. I just went up there thinking about where I'm going to do tomorrow, who I'm going to do it with, and not paying attention. Did not listen to my training because I've done it so many times. I took a shortcut. So training can help you battle complacency if you stay with it. Responsibility. That's what that is, correct? Who do you love? Who do you have a responsibility to? Your family, your friends, your dog, your coworkers. All those things. It was funny, after my adventure in the Sea of Cortez, I didn't realize how many tentacles, how many people I touched until it happened. Everywhere I went, there was somebody, my barber, the guy at the gas station, at the grocery store. Oh, I heard about your story. I heard about it. People were calling from my years in the Navy and OPD, and just, you don't realize how many people you touch. But you have a responsibility to those people to remain safe. Accountability. The job puts policies, procedures in place to hold you accountable for the way you do a process so that it can be done properly. Following those processes can help you combat complacency. It's like not taking the shortcut for the burglar alarm around the building. Kind of in the area what you were saying is treating every case like it was new. I had the wonderful opportunity to go on a walking meeting with Bobby, Mark's administrative assistant. And she shared with me a book called I Dare Me by a lady who had a lot of issues with cancer. And she said, you know, every day I'm going to do one thing different to kind of challenge myself. And what it did, it kept her focused on something, on learning a new skill. Bobby said the walking meeting was new to her, just taking a meeting instead of sitting at a table across from someone, just, hey, let's take a walk and have a meeting. Walking around the block backwards, whatever you can think of to keep you focused, to keep you entertained, to keep you challenged, can help you survive or fight complacency. Mark mentioned mentoring, the program. When you have someone to look up to, I still remember my field training officers when I was a young police officer. Those people stick with you. And when you are in the process of mentoring someone, you don't want to let them down. So there's official mentoring and then there's unofficial mentoring. When that new person comes to the office and they're kind of, I want to do a good job, I need a help, reach out that hand and help them. Become their mentor, the person they look up to, their hero, because they need you. And I saw there's a lot of new people in here that could use that helping hand. I had the opportunity to go to lunch with Chief Mulligan. And one thing he does, he has a great sense of humor. In the Chiefs Association, he kind of has those little zingers that keeps us focused on what we're doing. But a good sense of humor can really help in a situation. Paul also says things, he's like this Yoda, this big Yoda. And he said, brother, you have the light. Says, you and Mark Peterson have the light. I'm like, what's the light? Maybe it's the light shining on me, but I think it was a compliment that he shared, but it's his way of talking to people and his sense of humor really helps to keep the situation and helps us battle complacency. Questions? I was in the, I noticed you didn't have any questions for Mark, so this is one question that's always asked to me is, am I ready? People who have not been in a life and death situation will often ask me, am I ready? How do you know if you're ready? Well, for something that you don't know what it is, you don't know when it's going to come, how do you know if you're ready? 4 things. Mental. You got to believe that you can survive any situation that you put yourself into or any situation that can help you. You got to have this positive attitude and belief that you can do it. Physical. You got to take the stairs, instead of the elevator, do something to keep you in physical condition. People say, well, I survived because I was bigger than the other folks, so that, that kind of gave me more motivation to keep eating. But also going to the gym. I go to boot camp, and it kind of gave me stamina. When I go and work out with the folks who are a lot younger than I am, I go with my 3 Ps: pace, peace, and perseverance. I set my own pace like I did in the ocean. I make my peace with myself, and I just persevere. Those helped. So that's a physical. Don't believe in can help you, and when you're in that situation, whatever it may be. And also, the fourth one, family and friends. Believe that there's someone who wants you to come back, wants you to survive. If you're tight in those 4 areas, you can survive most life-threatening situations. The other question people always ask is, why do I think I survived? Why am I here? I believe I was spared so that I can share my story, that I can help someone by sharing the difficulties that I face, that we face during that entire adventure. We're going back to San Felipe. 4 survivors are going back on July 13th of this year. We're going to take a reef. Does anybody know a good florist? Talk to me afterward, because I need this big reef. I'm going to have the pictures of the 8 guys who didn't make it. We're going to drop that reef where the ship went down, and then we're going to go out and we're going to fish. We're going to complete what we didn't get to do next time, or last time, what we did not get to do. So, any questions other than those? Yes, Dan?
Do you have a greater appreciation for something? Do you, when you wake up in the morning, do you do something differently today than you did differently before the experience?
Every day, well, I see there's at some point where I figured I've got an extension on life. Nobody lives forever, but I got a little extension, because if Fish Rich hadn't woke me up on that thing, I would have went down with the ship. So at some point during the day when I'd see something, a sunset, a beautiful something, someone says something nice to me, I just say, thank you, Lord, for being here. That's my focus. And I always, even before that, I tried to help people, tried to make a difference in people's lives. I always have a positive attitude and try to help someone. So that personified it and solidified it. Good question. Yes?
How do you maintain that perspective? Because over time, we've all had, say, near misses in a car accident or something, and you go, and for a few days, you're much more grateful and you're more in the moment and all that kind of stuff, but over time, it tends to wear off.
I think by sharing the story. Because every time I tell it, I relive it. I'm back in the water. I see Glenn Wong's face. I see Fish Rich waking me up. And I know if they didn't, I wouldn't be here. So that keeps it alive and new and scary sometimes. Because, you know, sometimes when you're a police chief, you make all the decisions. When I was in that ocean, I was just a speck in nature. I was nothing, nobody. And that's a humbling effect on you. Other question? Yes, sir.
Did Mr. Wong's brother make it?
No, he didn't. Oh, wait a minute. There were 4 Wong brothers. Glenn is the one who gave me the vest. And it was a tearful reunion, I must say, because I'm talking to one of his other brothers, Craig, who's a sheriff in Alameda County. And I'm saying, man, your brother saved my life. He gave me the life vest off of his back. Saved my life. We were all in this restaurant upstairs from the hotel, and he says, yeah, but my brother's not here. I felt this big. The next day, we got word that a pickup truck with other survivors was coming in, and his brother was one of them. We stood at the top of the stairs, and when we saw him at the bottom, I mean, it was just a tearful reunion, but I was so glad to see him. And to this day, as a matter of fact, he works for PG&E. He's up for an award of heroism for doing that, and I plan to be there to tell the story of how he saved my life. I always say all the Wong brothers look up to me because they're all about that tall. Other questions? All right, here we go. Always close with a little song. Everybody stand up. Stand up, stretch your legs. You've been sitting for a while. Now this is your chorus line. All right? Repeat after me. Do this action. If you feel like giving out, and you feel like giving in, and you feel like giving up, just keep kicking. Okay, that's your line. Now here's the cue for your line to start. I'm going to say never give up, keep kicking. Never give up, keep kicking. That's when you go into this. You ready? Let's try that once. Never give up, keep kicking. If you feel like giving out, if you feel like giving in, if you feel like giving up, just keep kicking. There is no perfect life. We all have some strife. The boy and the girl, the husband and the wife. Now I'm going to say that twice. There is no perfect life. We all have some strife. The boy and the girl, the husband and the wife. Never give up, keep kicking. If you feel like giving out, if you feel like giving in, if you feel like giving up, just keep kicking. The president, the plumber, and the pope all have one thing in common: they never give up hope. The medical report may not be all right. The relationship may be all wrong. And the money may be all gone. But never give up. Keep kicking. Feel like giving out. Come on, a little enthusiasm. Feel like giving in. You feel like giving up, just keep kicking. Last one. You ready? In the sea of life, your ship may sink. You may find yourself alone in the drink. You may think your life is over, but remember your family and your dog named Rover. Never give up. Keep kicking. You feel like giving out, and you feel like giving in, and you feel like giving up, just keep kicking. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Great job.
All right, appreciate
Thank you.
it.